I'll do that after the meeting minutes, I think. That's my plan.
All right, Bob, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Welcome to the February 3rd Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. We have a handful of variances today, but I'd like to start out and do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you don't mind. Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic,
Under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's a slight delay. That's a little delay there. It caught me for a second. I'd like to start out with roll call. Let's see where we go here. So we got Robert Peckham present, Beth Mossworth,
Here,
John Migliorini here, Christian Chamberlain here, Heather Robinson,
Here.
Jesse Redlow here, Tim Harrington here. So everybody's in today. I'd also like to ask for an approval of January's meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I motion to approve the minutes from the January 6, 2021 meeting as presented.
second,
I'll give that one to Beth. All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
All opposed
Aye.
or abstain.
Abstain.
And we have one abstain. So all in favor except Heather, who's going to abstain. And then I also have to make an announcement that our applications number 2020-126, 2020-127, and 2020-128 for the Jervis application will not be heard tonight. Heather, that takes care of the part you need, correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I would like to call our first application, which is 2020-124 Mike Kozik. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, my name is Jovica Kovacevic. I'm the son-in-law. His address is 458 Telephone Road. 456 Telephone Road.
436.
Yeah, 436 months, sorry. Crazy day today. So we are back here to the third time. Made the shed way smaller, a little bit closer to the building. I add everything we guys asked for, so.
So I have a series of questions for you.
Go ahead.
I heard you, and just to be clear, it's a little bit hard to hear you, and I think you can remove that or closer to the mic if you would, it would help. So a series of questions. I went out and took a look at your property, or your father-in-law's property.
Yes.
I went and took a look at the property, went around to the backside, talked to all the neighbors around there. And the questions that I have to deal with what we're seeing from the documentation based on this, but also what you supplied us in December.
Past. Yeah.
So there's a handful of questions. First one, are you keeping the other structure that's there, which is, looks to me like a cobblestone, maybe shed that's
Yeah. Yes.
And the two structures that the cobblestone shed and this structure that you're representing with us today, how much square footage will they total?
You got 30 by 22, what's that, 660 and 160, so it's probably 800 feet, around 820 square feet. Around 820 square feet. So the new structure is going to be 30 by 22.
And so now I go back to the other questions that I had before. You gave us a series of pictures that were a representative of what you might build.
Yep.
And then we asked you, because you had showed us different dimensions, what you will build.
Whatever it's right on there.
So it will be this sort of, I'm going to call it like a 3-room thing, 1 exposed and 2 closed.
Yes. We don't know what we're going to do in the middle yet. We might put 2 garage doors so you can come right through. We'll see when we come build it, but it's going to be exactly almost 90% like that.
And scale is, the size of this drawing is the appropriate representation of
That's
what you're
correct.
asking for. Another question that we had asked you about last time was your septic system.
It's,
And
Go ahead.
at the same time, the concern that we had was twofold. One, where this building would be on the property to be displayed for us. But also we asked if it was possible to bring it closer to the garage.
We are 10 feet off the edge of the garage right now,
And that's what you're,
coming down, and we have 15 feet to the leach field, where the leach field starts from the distribution box. So really, building is gonna be right in the middle from the garage to the leach field, kind of.
okay. And then the last question that I had, and I feel that this is something important, so I'm sorry, it's a couple parts. You are going to use this for storage for a facility, for work, for extra materials or
Yeah, but
whatever?
actually, you saw the yard, so clean up everything what we have, put everything under the roof. We have you probably saw the big tractor that we have, that we use, couple of lawnmowers and whatever for around the house and the business too, yes.
And on top of that, the other thing that I asked last time is, what are you going to do with regards to getting back and forth from this building?
I have the tractor, I can use it, just go around the yard.
So one of the things that we pay attention to is driveways,
We're not gonna do driveway.
right? And to me, that's a negative. So that's just to be aware of that. I consider that a negative.
I thought that's a positive, because last time you guys said that was a negative.
No. If there's a facility there, we need to have a driveway if you're going to be using it regularly.
But maybe in the future, we don't know what's gonna happen in a few years.
Yep.
Right now, we need approval for the building, then we'll see what's gonna be with driveway.
Okay. Will this have power,
Yes,
plumbing?
no.
Those are my questions. He answered my questions.
I did have one question. So the building is gonna be, what was it, 30 by 22? So that whole square footage is 660?
660.
660. But then you have
I wrote that
the
down.
additional shed.
Yeah, it's like, we calculate, it's like 14 by 11, so around 150, 160 feet, so it's total gonna be around 820 square feet around.
So right now, your application's for 1,160. So is that, are they?
This is a difference from the application.
Okay.
So
We started with 1,200 square feet original, just a building, then we went down to 1,000 square feet, now we're to 660.
or 8.
Yeah,
Oh, the
plus,
building.
I didn't count that
I'm
on the
sorry.
building.
Yes, I
Yeah.
understand your point.
Plus 160. So we're at 820 right now for total square footage.
Yes.
Technically. Okay.
Heather, did you have more questions?
Not at this moment.
Okay.
Is this going to meet all your needs for storage purposes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you stated that you have a business. What business do you have?
Remodeling,
Oh,
flooring,
yeah, that's right. Okay.
not me, my father-in-law.
Right.
Yeah.
One man,
yes.
one company.
Christian, do you have questions? Because
Generally, some of my questions were already answered by you and by Heather, but there were several instrument surveys that were submitted. I know that some were submitted they were done by a surveyor, other ones were done by this a design agency, so the actual design here. Is it going to be, is the structure going to be on the setback on that side of the side, or is it going to be further in towards the house? Because I know that,
It's gonna be, on the survey, it's kind of, I had somebody in my work just add it on so you guys see roughly, but it's gonna be closer to the back of the house. So it's gonna be 10 feet down and 10 feet out from the edge of the garage.
okay, so this one right here is,
not correct. It cannot be.
this is not correct. This is the one that
I
shows
don't
right,
I cannot see.
I apologize.
Sorry.
This one, this is the,
Very much,
a version that was showing the building, the accessory building, it'd be pretty much up against the setback on the,
Driveway.
yeah, actually,
sorry,
that's
the
one, it's
neighbor's
correct.
yeah, neighbor's driveway, yeah.
Are you looking into site plan A something? By design, GMB design?
Yes.
Yes,
So it actually, let me see.
See, he wrote the right dimensions, it looks like, but he didn't put them to scale.
which one's correct? I don't even know.
That's what I'm having
That's what
trouble
I'm-
with.
Yeah. The,
I really do have trouble with it.
It's, if you look at that one, the late, this one here,
Land Tech or JMB?
JMB.
JMB.
It
Yes,
says on it 10 feet and 10 feet. I mean, probably it's not by the scale because we could not do it by the scale very
It's
much,
not
but
the
it's 10 feet. If you look at the edge of the garage, it's 10 feet and 10 feet.
okay.
Is there, I know we asked this prior, but could, at the December meeting, but could you bring the accessories up to the front of the house to have it in line with the front of the house?
No, that would be a lot of more work and excavation. It's because elevation, it's total different. With the garage, it's way higher. Well, sorry. It's like-
Yeah, there's a,
Like 10 feet high almost.
Right.
Not 10, it's
but
gonna screw
she's
total.
not asking if you can bring it up to that level. She's asking if you can bring it forward
Forward.
to that level.
A few feet, but not much. It's gonna mess it up, everything then. There's gonna be a lot of excavation, and then as you come from that point, it goes up the hill.
It is a hill. It's
Yeah.
got some grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you move it, you would start reaching into it, like if you had to move it, it would go into a setback.
Excuse me?
All right.
I'm just thinking out loud. Now, is there any way to make the accessory structure smaller?
They just downsize it 3 times. So really, that's small as that can go.
Okay.
Oh, we can.
Jesse, do you have any questions? It sounds,
Yeah, some questions and some comments. So 820 square feet is what you're asking for?
Yes, that's correct. Total.
Yeah,
Total.
I just want to be clear because there's been like 5 different iterations, so I need to understand what I'm voting on. So 820 square feet, and you're talking about 10 feet back from the house,
From the garage.
from the
Edge of the
garage?
garage.
Okay,
It's not from the house. It's kind of gonna be lined up with the end of the house.
Yeah.
If you look at it.
because there's steps, I think his point is there's steps sort of in the shape of the
Yeah.
profile of that house.
so I'm just going to be honest with you, sir. I mean, given that this has changed a bunch of times, when I can barely tell what I'm voting on, I'm not inclined to vote in favor when the information is conflicting and things are not to scale. So I'm just going to share that piece of feedback. I can't see my way to this. I'm set. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jesse. Beth, or John or Tim, are there any questions from you guys?
I don't have any.
No.
Okay, I'd like to table this so we can just discuss it before we make a decision on this. So please stay. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about it at the
Same
end.
thing last time.
It is, but we're all here this time, so we can
Okay.
make a decision today, but we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to table this. We'll go to the next one. 2020-132 for Stephen Sweet. Heather, is Stephen on the line with us?
Yes, he is. Yes, Stephen, you just have to unmute yourself and the floor is yours, my dear.
I'm here.
Hello, Mr. Sweet. Welcome back. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Stephen Sweet, address is 24 Galway Drive.
Thank you, sir. Beth, do you want to start this one off?
Sure. Mr. Sweet, thank you for supplying the additional information, layout, and overall design and color that really helped bring all together many of the questions that we had from previous month.
You're welcome.
Were you able to kind of give yourself an idea of how large maybe of a door you might put, an overhead door? I had seen kind of like a French door in the drawings, so I don't know if you were.
We had decided to make some changes. The building, we were originally looking at 12 feet and an overhead door, 12-foot high wall with an overhead door. We went to 10 feet wall and changed it to like a French door, 6-foot wide French door. We took out the overhead door. which,
So the French door will still allow you to be able to get your equipment in and out without a
Yeah.
problem?
yes, and that will alleviate any concern of someone possibly, you know, in the future, if we sell the property, using that for a garage or any of that. Without any
Certainly.
kind of real serious modifications to the building.
Well, hopefully that door leads a lot more light, so you don't have to put as much light inside, and might give you a little bit more air in and out too.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
A question I have, and I think we know the answer, but I'll double check. I assume this is going to have electricity in it because you're going to have lights and things of that nature.
Yes.
Are you also going to do any plumbing in there?
No plumbing.
Yes. Okay. Are there any other questions from the board?
I just want to say, Mr. Swig, I really appreciate how you went and got the drawings for us that we asked for. I agree with Vice Chair Mossworth. It was very helpful to me. It gave me a much better sense of the project. So I really appreciate you providing those specifics.
Well, you're welcome as well.
Thank you, Jesse. Are there any questions from the audience?
I am not seeing any online.
Thank you, Heather. I think we can close this application. Beth?
Mr. Chairman, in regard to application ZBA 2020-132 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has 1, duly advertised and held a public hearing, 2, has considered all relevant information, and 3, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not be result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or detriment to the nearby properties. The accessory structure will be partially obstructed of view from the road front by the house itself. The variance cannot be achieved by some other means feasible. The amount of space needed for equipment is larger than what the resident currently has in the home. The variance is not substantial. The variance will not have a negative effect to the physical or environmental conditions. The difficulty of the variance was self-created, and be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approve the variance as presented.
Second.
And be it further resolved that this approval shall be subject to the following conditions. The accessory structure shall not be permitted to be used for any commercial purposes.
Second.
Seconded by Jesse. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries. Your application has been approved.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the extra effort.
Thank you, enjoy.
Next, we have 2021-001, Ruben Casaverde for a variance for a shed. Heather-
Yes, good evening. How are you, folks?
Good evening. How are you, sir?
Well, thank you.
Thank you for your efforts on the front lines there. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Jesse, you want to start this one?
So, Mr. Casaverde, I'll echo the chairman. Thank you for being a frontline worker right now. It's very much needed and appreciated. So the shed that you're proposing, will you have any electric or plumbing in the structure?
No, I do not.
Okay, and that was my only question.
Any other members of the board?
No, I think this. is pretty
And
straightforward.
just for reference, we did have a member, or I'm sorry, a resident send in a support for the shed. So we did have an email come in with support for the shed.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Yes, I believe that's correct. So I just figured I'd share that. If there's no other questions here, any from the audience? Heather? If
I
didn't-
have none.
Thank you, ma'am. Jesse, you want to?
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number 2020-001 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has 1, duly advertised and held a public hearing, 2, has considered all relevant information, and 3, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to a nearby properties, as multiple nearby properties have sheds. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative, as a smaller structure will not meet the needs of the applicant. The variance requested is not substantial. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. The difficulty relating to the variance was not self-created, and be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the variance as presented.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Christian. He was just a little faster. And all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Nice shed.
You too. Thank you.
Last application that we're going to discuss today is 2021-002, and it's I don't know how to say it, Ateritano. If you would please come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, sir. Thank you. Please tell us a little bit about what you're.
Is the microphone muted? I can't hear anything.
Oh,
Hold on.
oh, is it? Hold on one moment, sir. Oh, we'll have to have, because of a microphone, we have to have you state your name and address again.
Okay, my name is Michael Otertano. My address is 51 Sperry Drive. And I like to put an addition on my garage. And I understand I need an 8 feet setback.
Yes.
And I don't have quite enough room, so I'm trying see if I can get like 6 feet setback.
Okay.
That will work.
Okay. And who has this?
Thank you.
Heather, yeah.
Yeah. So the addition that you're putting on, is it gonna be the same materials as the house, the siding and,
Yes,
okay.
Is it going to have a door on the front of the addition?
yes, either, I'm not quite sure, I either gonna go with a 10-foot or maybe 12-foot overhead door and also a 3-foot door.
A man door?
Yeah,
if you
on
will.
one side.
Okay.
And it looks to me like it's deeper than the garage currently.
Yes, it's going to be 5 feet jog, which is, the garage right now is 22, so it's going to be 5 feet, it'd be 27.
Okay.
And Mr. Ateritano, do you feel that this addition to the garage, will this meet your current and future needs for storage and all of the other uses you're trying to get out of the garage?
Yes, mostly is to put my vehicle in the garage.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And with the 12-foot door.
Will you be adding to the driveway? I mean, and if you do, will it be staying in the 6-foot setback all the way down to where it tapers into that existing driveway?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
It
It'd
looks
be
like-
it'd be wider in the front, close to the garage, and then it would narrow down,
It would narrow down into the existing,
pretty much the way it is now.
but it would stay 6 feet away from the property line,
Yeah,
all the way, no less, no more than that. So, okay, no less than that.
Yeah.
I was right the first time.
Actually, we'd have to be minimum of 8 feet from the driveway to the property line. That would be a separate variance if you decide to go closer than 8 feet with your driveway.
yes, the driveway right now is at the end of the, closer to the road, is 4 feet into the property line. I don't know why they did that.
Whatever's there now is pre-existing, so that's fine. But any new driveway, town code requires 8 foot to the property line.
Yeah,
So we'll have to take a look at that in the spring if you decide to do closer. It's another trip back here to the zoning board. So, and I have
okay.
one question. What's the width of the addition?
Pardon me?
How wide is the addition going to be, the garage?
I like to go 8 feet. So it'd be
So it's 8 by,
20 feet wide
so you're looking
garage.
at 8 foot by the 27 deep.
by the 27 feet, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions from members of the board? Heather, are there any questions from members of the audience?
I have none.
Thank you. With that, we'll close this application, and Heather?
Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2021-002 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties, as the garage addition will match the materials of the existing house. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative due to the nature of the shape of the lot. The variance requested is not substantial. The setback requested is minimal to achieve the applicant's need for the addition. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. The difficulty relating to the variance was self-created. However, due to the shape of the lot, this is the only way to meet the applicant's needs for the garage addition. And be further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variance as presented.
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope you have a
Appreciate it.
nice day. And now we'll have a workshop here, or a conversation here about the variance 2021-24 between us. I'd love to get feedback from people after we know what we've heard. And I will throw out two things just as I believe I understood these. One, he initially asked for 1,160 square feet, but now we understand that the total variance requested is 820 square feet. How versus 435, which is allowed. So it's still 100, I'm rounding, but it's about 100% bigger. Or just shy of that. The other thing to me that are still problematic for me, I have an idea what the building may look like now. I generally have an idea what he indicates where he's going to put this by words. I don't have an understanding of specifically where the leach field is, although I've heard it in words as well. I'm looking at scale here, and my curiosity, if you guys see this according to the instrument survey, not the estimated one, it looks like they're gonna put the front corner, I guess I call it the front right, the north corner of this. It looks like they're gonna put it so that it's 54 feet from the setback. And then they're gonna add 22 feet to it, so it'll be, give or take, 20 feet from the setback, give or take.
He's actually taken, he took 440 off from the original 1160.
Yeah, but it's still gonna be 22 feet wide, right?
Right.
And it's still almost double what code allows.
Between them for the two structures. The one structure is not almost double code, it's,
Right.
20
No,
or
I'm
30%
speaking
bigger.
in totality.
I agree with the statement. Okay, so I was just trying to state some facts. Please give me feedback on what you're feeling, what questions you have, if there's anything that we missed, any of that stuff.
I guess the biggest confusion for me was that the application was for a 40 by 30 structure, though I know all the documentation and the testimony from the applicant indicates that it is going to be a 30 by 22. So that actually puts everything in scale for the these renderings from JMB. So with this extra spot that I filled in, that's not the right size. It's originally what it indicated is correct.
Okay.
So I guess my question is exactly, because there's multiple versions, I saved one of each, and one of them shows them much closer to the setback, one closer to the building. Again, Mr. Kozik indicated that it looks like it's going to be 10 feet from the corner of the garage, so I don't believe this, I believe this is the most accurate, if you ignore the part that's in red, is the most accurate representation of where it's going to be located.
Okay.
Is the one that, okay, I'm sorry. Ignore my, I added that myself, the red part. That's if it was a 30 by 40 structure. But the actual, but I'm guessing this is what the applicant is looking for to do. I am much more comfortable giving a 820 square foot variance as opposed to a 1,200 square foot variance.
Good.
In fact, I am a little concerned about where the leach field is located because on two of the instrument surveys, it shows the outline in different locations. One actually closer to the house. So I don't know if that's something that has been determined by building where it's located or if that's an issue still or not.
Yeah, I do not have the actual documentation from Monroe County Health Department, so I don't know exactly where the leach field actually sits.
Where you know where it sits, and if you were to build on the leach field, is that something that's only an issue if he has to?
You would not be allowed to do that at all.
He would not be allowed to do. Okay, so it's something that would be something that needs to be determined before he can actually begin building.
Is there an offset requirement from the leach field?
In the 10, is it 10 feet?
It's typically 10 feet, although it's a private system, so, you know, they recommend 10. I don't know if there's actual, I think it's just more of a recommendation.
Okay.
Because if you screw it up, it's on you to fix it. So
Yep.
it's not like it's a, you know, a town-owned sewer.
All right.
There's no easements around them.
Okay. Heather, what are you feeling? Or questions, anything?
I mean, you know, going from 1,160 to 820 is total, is definitely, you know, a lot better. I still think it's a huge structure. So I'm not for it. I still think it's too large.
Yeah, and the concern that I have with the structure, just for a reference here, there are other structures in this neighborhood that are bigger than what he's asking for, but there is a difference in the way I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I see, the other structures are on their own property and there's nobody behind them with a view towards the road. And this one blocks the view of at least one neighbor and potentially another. With the scale of it being pretty large, that is something that I'm paying attention to. As a matter of fact, we paid attention to it with, earlier today with Mr. Sweet. Thank you, I couldn't remember the name.
That's what I was looking at. He's what, 4, 6?
But his is completely held behind his house and there's no neighbor looking back past it in their view. That is a difference in my eyes. So just, it's a reference point. Tim, what are your thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, has there been any support or opposition voiced from neighbors?
Yes, there has been, I have spoken to most of the neighbors, not all of them were around. One of them actually put on record for the prior one, I can't remember if it was in person or on a call or an email, but there was an opposition to it. And
Were there specifics that came with the opposition? Was it size or location or intent or?
view, it was their view, and they had a slightly different view. That person would be to this, I assume it's north-south direction, so to the south, looking across. They had a comment about that. And then I also spoke with others that had in person when I was doing my findings and research, and there was some opposition to it as well.
Well, you asked my opinion. My opinion is that it's hard to represent the needs of the town, given that there's some question of the actual placement and size and everything else relative to the property and all the other components. That said, doing my findings. I see neighbors that are of consistent or even larger size outbuildings. And given that there's already a shed and equipment and supplies that are outside, with the intent to hide that thing, I think that would be a benefit. And I think ultimately, with the compromise of size, I would vote to approve this one.
Okay. Jesse?
I remain very strongly opposed to this application I would echo all the reasons that you said, Mr. Chairman. I'm concerned about the opposition that was voiced by the neighbors with the line of sight. When we first heard this application, line of sight was one that I thought was going to be an issue. I don't think that issue has changed. I do appreciate the fact that it was scaled down to 820 square feet, but that is still double the town code, which in my opinion is highly significant and substantial. Not a precedent that I'm comfortable setting whatsoever. And honestly, I have no idea what's going to be built. I mean, there's a million renderings on here. It seems to change every time it's presented to us. So I have zero comfort level voting in favor of this.
Thank you. John?
I'm fine with it just as long as the leach field issue is checked. But other than that, I'm fine with it.
And Beth?
I actually am in agreement with Tim, and for all the reasons that he cited. We've seen the reduction, so the homeowner has gone back and done his own research and scaled back to what he asked for. Having storage for all the items that are outside, I think, is definitely going to be a better view than it currently is.
Okay, and for sake of saying that, based on my research, I am against this. But it does look like we're going to have enough to approve this. So for your sake, John.
Do we have enough?
Yeah, we have Beth, Christian, Tim, and you.
Oh, okay.
And me and Jesse and Heather are against it. Oh,
I
were you?
didn't say yes or no. I feel more comfortable.
Oh, I
with it,
thought
but
you
I'm
said
sorry.
yes.
I thought we were gonna-
apologize.
I didn't realize that. I didn't say yes or no.
I apologize.
Definitively. I mean, my biggest question, and everything else is pertinent as well, but my biggest concern is with the leach field, the fact that it has to be 10 feet offset from where the leach field is. Is it, I mean, I guess there's two instrument surveys show the leach field in different locations of the property. So I don't know if this has to be determined before, I mean, it definitely has to be determined before any building is done. But are we able to render a decision prior to knowing whether or not they can even build?
I think I feel if we decide yes, we could put in a clause that says it has to be 5 or 10 feet, I'm sorry.
It
from
needs to
the leach
have the minimum offset from the leach field based on.
I feel like we
county
can say that,
requirements.
and based on what I learned, I think that's something that is appropriate to comment.
Kevin, does the leach field have, I mean, is it the county that does the leach field or the town? The town does it.
It's a privately installed, privately owned. The county does the inspections on those, and they map out where the leach field is, where the distribution box and the septic tank itself is. I did not look through our records when the house was built. Typically, that's something that's brought in for a final inspection. I did not research that. I didn't know if the property owner has that information or not. From this map that I'm looking at that shows the drawn in.
Right.
I don't know who drew that in.
I don't think it looks like it's part of the survey.
No, it's not.
It's not.
And that's
So-
also an old drawing, right?
So I think if we're gonna, Christian, if you decide you're gonna be a positive for this,
My thought is that as long as there's a condition, I mean, it depends, obviously it wouldn't be built if it infringes on the leach field. As long as the structure as we approve it can be built with other setbacks, the leach field setbacks, then I would be okay to approve.
I mean, on the original survey, I mean, the leach field is drawn in there. That wasn't drawn in there. That's on the.
okay.
We don't know where it's located. That's the issue, is that it needs to be determined before they can build it.
Once it's in, you can't move it unless you rip the whole thing out.
John, I think the request that I would make is in the additional notes, I think we should say two things, or three things, actually. One, I think we should say that you have to have a minimum offset of the leach field, just to make us feel good about this. Two, I think you would say a reference point of where it's gonna be placed. Because we don't have a real good understanding of this product, the output, I think we should say it's gonna be 10 foot by 10 foot, in two directions from the corner of the garage.
Right.
And then the final one was, that the layout of the shed would be very similar to the supplied drawing.
What is,
We only have one drawing that actually has,
This one, right?
we only have one drawing of the shed. And I would reference the JMB drawing.
That makes sense.
Those are my opinions on how we should do this. I'm still opposed to it, but if we're gonna approve it, which it sounds like we are, you're saying yes?
like I said, as long as we have those conditions and make sure that if that's addressed prior to build, I'm okay approving this.
Okay.
As long, and that it's for 820 square feet, not the 1,200.
Oh, that's the fourth thing, 820 total square feet.
Yeah.
Total, yeah.
But the new shed being 660.
The new shed would be
New
660,
shed is
and then the
660.
existing is 160, right?
The only question that I have, and maybe this is a Kevin question, is where, I mean, because of the different drawings, I can't tell where the leach field actually is. So how do we put that into the conditions if we can't tell where it is in the first place?
Well, he's gonna inspect it.
The applicant can go to the county and request those records. I could probably do it too from the office.
Okay, so as long as the condition is in there, you have a way of fact checking that.
If it appears that, the existing shed, this new one's going to be forward of that. So right now, that existing shed may or may not be on the leach field already. I'm assuming it's not.
Okay.
Looking at, scaling this out best I can, it appears that there's about 60 feet at least from the back of the house to the leach field.
But in the event that it is, your department will catch it with code enforcement.
We'll verify it.
Okay.
One way or the other, yes.
I'm still against it, but that will let me sleep tonight.
It's a concern that we're.
I'm sorry, yeah. As long as it's going to be addressed, I'm okay with it.
Yep, okay.
So we want a
That definitely be a
minimum offset.
detriment to him to place it on top of the septic system.
We don't want that to
Minimum offset from the leach field of 10 foot, not to exceed
What do we say, 660?
660.
660.
660 for this structure and a total of
820.
I had a question. I didn't know if we could put a condition the same as the other application that we approved earlier today,
What-
where, I forgot how Beth worded it, but with, like no odor smells and the noise control.
I think there's no, I don't see a reason.
I think she worded it as no commercial
No.
business.
Yeah, no commercial purpose.
No commercial part. Yeah, she didn't get specific about smells and whatnot. It was commercial purpose.
Yeah, that should be included on this one because this is large enough to be used for commercial.
Well, it is going to be, he's.
It's gonna be
It is
commercial.
commercial.
Right.
Well, I say
Well,
commercial.
You can't.
You can't have an in-home occupation in an outbuilding. If he is storing materials there, he's not doing his business there.
It's just a storage.
Correct. It's no different than, if he drives his work truck home and parks it in the front yard, he can't be doing any business at that location. In other words, cutting tile, making
What if he
noise.
was does that change if he was like a landscape company or something? If they're parking all their mowers in there and stuff? Is that different?
As long as you're following the parking regulations with your landscape trailer and it's licensed and in the driveway, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
They start parking them in the backyard, in the grass, then it's a violation.
And is there a driveway requirement?
Not for an accessory structure, no.
Thank you.
Only garages. If he decides to put the driveway in, then he would have to follow the driveway code.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. So it'll just take a moment for him to fill out the paperwork and then we'll we'll go from there. Oh, I guess I have to reopen the meeting, right?
Well,
You have to, did you poll the audience already? Online?
Oh, thank you for saying that. So
Well, you need to reopen the meeting before you poll the audience.
Yeah.
correct.
Correct.
Before we do that, I did just want to make a note that the way the structure is, where the breezeway is, it is facing the property line of the neighbor there where they have the driveway coming up to theirs. So when you're looking at it from the street, you're looking at it this side.
yes,
So this right here would be where the adjacent property is and their driveway up to get to their house. And he does plan on using this area to pull or to
tractor.
tractor or vehicles. and whatnot.
Is that a question or a statement?
It's just a statement.
Okay.
Just so you guys are aware.
If you had mentioned that he was maybe possibly in the future going to put a door there or on the other side too, I think he
Right,
mentioned.
yeah.
So I don't know if that also kind of, that would alter the look as well of it. But I believe he said, I mean, we can also double check, but I believe he said that he possibly might put a door on both sides in the future.
Right.
But I don't know if that's, I don't know. I could,
It's just facing the access of, to me, it's just, in my opinion, it's facing the access kind of the neighbor's adjacent driveway. Adjacent driveway. So to me, if it's going to be your property, I would have preferred it to see, again, I'm against this, but in the front because it's their property. To me, kind of the way it's oriented kind of suggests that, I mean, there's not much room to get to it. You'd have to go from like the left side to drive up to it.
Yeah, that's a point. Are we sure, given the ambiguity of all these drawings, that it is actually facing
No,
that neighbor's
I'm not
driveway?
sure of anything.
No, you can't be sure of anything with this application.
I just wanted to make that point because,
We'll open it up again, Heather and Tim. We'll open this up again in a minute
Yep.
appropriately. And then we'll ask those a couple extra questions and we'll validate that that there may or may not be anybody else here from the audience. And then we'll motion the application here.
it just, to me, it just seems like you have to be, if you're going to be coming to this, like, bringing a tractor up, you're going to have to, it's just a lot close.
So your preference in the comment that I'm hearing is you'd like to go straight into a door, like a garage or breezeway, whatever it is, from the road, as compared to going straight into it from that driveway that runs along the edge of their property.
Right, because if you're gonna, if he tends to want to add a driveway in the future, that's another thing, because the driveway
It
would
has
have
to be like a right angle driveway.
yeah.
yeah, just so you guys are aware.
Yeah, I agree with Heather's point 100%. It's one of my issues with the application as well.
We don't have that understanding. Are you,
We won't put that in there because they'd have to come back for another variance.
yes, I agree.
So you're just basically looking to turn it 90 degrees.
Yeah, I would prefer it to be 90 degrees.
So I agree. So you're saying you'd rather have the structure 90 degrees? So it's longer in width than in length?
Correct.
That maybe work better for.
So I actually have more problem with that because of the neighbors. So because of the visual,
I see.
not
So-
because of the function, but because of the visual.
Right. I understand that.
I'm not telling you I'm right either. I'm
Right,
just saying
no,
that's my,
it's an opinion, but, it's just.
well, it's something that we'll address real quick before we close this.
I'm just looking at you, sorry.
Okay. No, it sounded like you were gonna say something.
No, I was just breathing. Sorry.
Continue breathing. Sorry, I can't
It's okay.
not say stuff like that.
Open it back.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll open the meeting back up. Please come back up to the podium. Welcome back up.
Thank you.
So you've been hearing what we're
Oh, yeah.
torn on. And
Can I say a couple comments before you start?
please, I would like you to.
It will be 15 feet away from the septic or leach field.
Yes.
All right, that's for sure, because I installed a leach field in '06 or '07.
Wonderful.
So I know exactly what it is. And that's, it will face south. So the building gonna be like that, so the 30 feet is gonna face the neighbor's driveway. Just like you says on the print.
Let me re-ask that for clarity. Is the structure, the length of the structure going to be parallel to the driveway?
Yes.
To their driveway?
30 feet length, and then 22 wide.
Okay.
But the opening of that long side will face which direction? As drawn with the opening?
Yeah, the opening is gonna be right in the middle. The driveway is gonna be right here of the neighbors. That's the south side of that, that's north, it's on the underside, and you got east and west.
So,
East, west.
entry of that by the tractor, will that require you to,
I'm not gonna go in neighbors. I still have at least 20 feet to my
20
property
20
line, easily. My property line, if you look at it,
Yeah, he's got space.
you got 59 feet from my edge of the house, not even from the edge that we're gonna do the garage. You got almost 60 feet. So you're gonna have 28 feet easily, more plus. You're gonna have 30 feet from face of the building to the property line. If you look at
Yes,
sorry.
of the instrument survey.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's exactly, it's a old joint that's original joint that we have.
Okay. And sir, we're going to put some stipulations on this, that it has to fall within the lines of what we're talking about
Yeah,
here.
they will.
And so that's one of the things that you're going to hear in a moment once John motions this. Was there another question that you had, Heather?
No, I was just making a point to you guys.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may have one question. On the north side of that building,
Yes,
is that drive-through open all the way through? Or is there a back wall on the north?
it's gonna be open all the way through.
So you
All
could,
gonna be two garage door, one on the south side, one on the north side.
So what are you gonna actually put in the center there? Nothing? Just gonna be open space?
No open, or we're gonna, maybe if we put garage doors and we close that too, on either side.
Okay.
We good?
No, we didn't ask about the audience again.
Oh,
I forgot to say it. Heather, are there any questions from members of the audience?
I have nothing.
Thank you. With that, this application is closed. John, if you would do the honor.
Mr. Chairman, with regards to application ZBA 2020-124 for an area variance, I move to approve. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held public hearings, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefit to the application versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the characteristic of the neighborhood, as there are other buildings in the neighborhood that do have barns or buildings. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative, as there is leach field in the area, and this is where the applicant would like the building to be. The variance requested is not substantial. The variance will not have a negative effect on the physical or environmental condition. The difficulty related to the variance was self-created. Applicant has reduced the size of the structure from the original application that he had presented. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approves the variance as presented. And be it further resolved that the approval shall be subject to the following conditions. Minimum offset of 10 feet from the leach field, building not to exceed size of 660, and a total square footage of both buildings of 820 square foot.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Beth. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Aye.
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 So the opposed, for the record, Jesse, Bob, and Heather. The application is approved and,
Thank you.
When you're ready to stop and see us for a building permit.
I will come.
Okay.
as soon as possible.
Great.
What they're gonna cost me? I know.
Well, give us a call tomorrow. We'll let you know.
I will come by.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Have a good
thank
night.
you. Have a nice evening.
Good night.
And with that, the meeting for February 3rd is closed at 7:55, if my eyes are good.
2021.
2021.
Nice job, everyone.
Forms.
He wanted to do that, but we didn't
All
let him.
right. Have a good night to those who are online.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Beth.
Good night.
Thank
Bye,
you,
Heather.
everybody.
Or you're Heather.
Night,
Bye,
Beth.
Beth. Bye, Heather.
Night.
Thank you, Heather.